All right, guys, this is a good one. It's going to be probably the most anatomy-based chapter in the book, and it is with our RAS, or our reticular activating system. And I got to speak on this a couple times, and this one is fun for me, and it's very important. There is a actual piece of the brain that sits at the bottom, on top of the spine at the bottom of the brainstem, and it is called the reticular activating system, RAS, that has a very critical function. And that's what I want to talk about in this next section. And we talked earlier about how you've got 10 or 11 million pieces of information in our input, our analog and digital input, that are just coming through every second. Well, the RAS, the reticular, is the part of the brain that dictates what 40 pieces get through to our conscious thinking and what to do with the other millions of pieces. And so I want to get into that a little bit, because all of this, your RAS can be malleable, it can be neuroplastic, and you can control some of the things. You can be intentional with it. And when I read about this the first time, I was like, whoa, man, this this would have been great to know like 30 years ago. But hopefully you get a benefit from it. So the job of the reticular is to be the doorkeeper or the bouncer, the filter that decides what gets through to the conscious mind and what does not. And you can basically think of the RAS as a 4-lane highway, all going one direction. And it's almost like, I used this example a year or so ago, and it's probably not, the timing of it, the example's not fantastic, but it works. And it is essentially like a border control. And you've got all the sensory and digitally analog senses and that are coming through, and it hits the border control, which is the RAS. And you've got 4 lanes that the RAS is looking for. And if it doesn't meet the criteria for the 4 lanes, it sends it away to the subconscious. So I want to talk about the 4 lanes and what they do and how you having awareness of them can really help. I know it really helped me. The first slot, or the first lane that the RAS uses, is when it hears your name called. You can be in a room full of dozens or hundreds of people, and somebody say your name. Your RAS will pick up on that, and it'll through all the noise and all the conversations going on around you, it can hear it, and our minds are pre-programmed for that first slot, that first lane, to listen for your name. And that one is not changeable. There's 3 that are static. The first 3 lanes are static. It's the 4th one we're going to get to that's fun, that is changeable. So the first one is your name being called. The second slot, or second lane or highway, that the RAS is looking for is the potential for danger. And so anytime that your senses, input, going on, or exterior going around you, picks up on the potential for danger, the RAS gets that information and then allocates and organizes the mind and the body to get ready to deal with the said danger. Your heart rate goes up. The blood starts pumping to all the muscles, more blood, and you get a lot of adrenaline may begin. Cortisol starts happening and all these things. And so that second lane is a static one. It's not changeable. It's pre-programmed to be prepared for danger. And so that's what lane 2. So the first one is your name being called. The second one is the potential for danger. The third one is the fun one, and that is the potential for sex or reproduction, whatever you want to call it. And we can go a lot of different ways right there, but you get it. Whenever the mind sees the potential for that, the body reacts. So there's that. We won't get into that too much. It's the 4th one the fourth highway, the fourth lane of the RAS, that is the one that's really, really interesting, because it is the one that is not static. It can be manipulated. It can be changed. And we've talked ad nauseum so far about all the input, all the senses, and all the things that are influencing us and our thoughts. And that is what the fourth lane of the reticular uses as clues and information to decipher what's important to you. And that's why it is so important that what we watch and the people we're around and the conversations we get in and what we say about ourselves, because it's also using that. The words we speak, the RAS is using that as clues and information to determine what's important to you. Remember, you only 40 pieces of the 10 million are getting through to lane 4. It can only handle 40 pieces of information a second. And that's what it's using, all those things we just talked about, as determining what's important to you. One of the most common examples is, hey, I'm looking at buying a truck. I want a silver extended cab, 4-wheel drive GMC, which is not a super, super common thing. I just bought one of those. And all of a sudden, you start seeing those types of vehicles, and you never noticed them before. That's because your reticular, lane 4, heard you saying that or having conversations with that, or your brain and mind's been focused on that, on looking them up on the internet or on whatever. It's like, oh, that's how fast lane 4 of your reticular activates and changes. So whatever you're watching on TV, it's using that as clues. Whatever you're looking at on social media, it's using that as a clue, as information. Whatever people you're around, the conversations you have, the way you talk, it's using that. Everything is being used, and then therefore is what you're going to notice in your conscience. So you've only got 40 pieces of information. You have to maximize and tell that lane 4 what you want to be deemed as important. Otherwise, it's going to pick it for you. And that can be a good or a bad thing. I would rather not leave it up to my mind to pick for me. I want to be the one saying this is what is important to me. I want to be looking for ways to grow. I want to be looking for opportunity. I want to be looking for ways to get better. I want to be looking for ways to write a book and to read good books. And if I'm just constantly feeding myself things that are unhealthy or negative, that or just are neutrally useless, what are we doing? What are we telling ourselves? What are we telling our reticular that we think's important? Are we being intentional about that? And so it's really, really up to you as to what happens in lane 4. You can just keep on going on mindlessly and being upset about why life is happening to you in a certain way that you don't like, or you can begin to gain control over that thing and say, I'm going to have a say-so. I'm going to make up my mind that I'm going to feed my eyes and ears with healthy things. I'm going to make sure I'm around a balanced group of people that are helping me become a better version of me. I'm going to be associating myself with information and resources that benefit me, that edify me. Remember, Paul said, whatsoever things are good, true, pure, virtuous, all that stuff, that's what you want to set before yourself, that you become better, that you become the best version of yourself. And that is how our minds dictate and separate the information. What's important to you is what comes out of your mouth, what your eyes are seeing, what your ears are hearing, the people. So you have a say-so. You have control over that, some of that. Not always, not all the time, but a vast majority of the time, you can have control. And part of the control comes from the fruit of the Spirit of self-control. And I think that's how God, one of the ways he intended to use that. So I want to encourage you to dive off into that. Do your own research about it and answer the questions, put down your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the chapter.